confirmation.
Keep that in mind. Don't say anything dangerous, controversial. When our mics go live, can they hear you, Emma Kate? Oh, okay. So it just sounds like I'm talking to myself.
You're allowed to say things controversial, Omar, just not dangerous.
Yes, that's true.
Or career threatening. Most dangerous two words in sports. Open microphone.
All right. Ready to go. I'll put you over here, Dave.
Huh?
I'm trying to work on my double screen and moving you so that I can actually, I'm trying to look at the script without looking at the script. So if I put you on my top screen, does it look like, oh no, look like I'm looking up. Okay, cancel that thought.
All right, we ready?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
All right.
Omar, you got pictures up behind you now.
I've actually
up,
changed directions I'm shooting, and maybe that's I'm experimenting, so it's kind of, I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I have my office all
probably.
set up. It's not organized, but it's all set up.
I'm not going to do it right now. I'll mess it up.
If you got something good, you make it work. Like I set this backdrop in the corner of my room, in the corner of my office for like a video studio, but the shelves are too high to actually be in the picture. So I'm like, okay, whatever.
I do find myself watching these Zoom interviews on TV, trying to read what books are on the shelves because I want to know what they're reading, who they are.
Seeing what's in the background. That's a good point. I normally look at people's setup and say, oh, okay, that I like that. I don't like that. I like that. But everybody now has to get to a home studio status.
We're not there. I'm not there. I'm the blank screen.
I still got to work on you. Your lighting hasn't been bad lately. You must have done something to step up your game.
I just put a light back there behind the computer. That's it. I need a lighting and a makeup person.
Yeah, you got to know your shade, Dave.
Yeah, well, my shade. I'm the whitest man in America. You know, so that's my shade.
I don't think you're that white, Dave. I think it's in your mind.
Look at it. I can see through me.
All right. Yes, ma'am. 1 second. Yep, I'm ready. Yes, ma'am. Yes. Yeah. Phone's off, Dave.
Phone's off.
Even though we're supposed to get the practice reports momentarily. All right, we're ready to go. So we've officially hit the point of the year where the Miami Dolphins season usually comes to die. December games are what separates the pretenders from the contenders, the playoff teams from those pretending to be playoff teams. And the Dolphins continue to be in the hunt for the wild card spot, despite last Sunday's 33-27 loss to the Kansas City Chiefs. The Dolphins put together an impressive fourth quarter rally, Dave, to come back from a 30-10 deficit, But ultimately, there was not enough firepower for this offense that suffered a number of key injuries. Heading into this Sunday's game against the New England Patriots, South Florida's NFL franchise has 3 opportunities, Dave, 3 opportunities to secure, let's say, 2 wins, and they'll more than likely be in the playoff mix. Can the Dolphins get there? We'll discuss this on X's and Omar this week. I'm Omar Kelly. This is Dave Hyde. And Dave, obviously it was a tough loss last week to the Kansas City Chiefs, but what did you learn from that experience?
Well, you learned that, look, I wrote my column afterwards. The first commandment of any sport is shall play hard throughout the game. And look, that's like participation trophy stuff a lot of times, or something you throw a biscuit to. In this game, I thought it mattered. They're down 30-10. They're suffering body blows with the injuries, serious injuries. It seemed like everybody was going down, and yet they came back against what most of us consider to be the best team in the league. And I thought, okay, that was something. I remember a Bill Belichick NFL Films review of a season once when they went to the, they go back and they talk about his season. And he said something I thought really interesting, that when they got blown out in a game, a rare game, they lost big, but they kept playing hard. He said that meant something to him. It showed him he had something to work with that team. Now, we've seen, steps by Brian Flores' team. This was an important one, I thought, for me.
Definitely. I mean, we haven't seen a blowout since probably the beginning of last year's season. That's something to be proud of. It looked like it was certainly headed to a blowout in the third quarter, but somehow, some way, they rallied from behind without Devontae Parker, without Jakeem Grant, without Mike Gesicki, without Bobby McCain playing on one leg, without Kyle Van Noy, without Landon Roberts. Those are arguably 5 of the team's top 10 players, and they weren't on the field. And somehow this team rallied back, but it just wasn't enough. I think they still need some key elements to address some key issues. Might not be addressed this season until probably the offseason. But I would like to see this team continue to push to get to 10 wins. I think it's very important, and it's what would separate this team, this regime, what this franchise has going on from what they've been able to do in the Tony Sparano era, or what they've been able to do in Joe Philbin era and Adam Gase era. Right now, if they don't win 2 games, maybe 1, status quo for what this franchise has done.
Okay, Omar, our first question comes from Baby Bro 25. Do you think Chan Gailey and the staff have the handcuffs on Tua? Seems as if he's not being unleashed until late quarters.
I think the criticism on Chan Gailey, who actually said or hinted or insinuated that he kind of is taking it day by day, not necessarily certain he's going to coach moving forward. He's like, it's been a hard year. COVID's been a hard year. And I understand his concerns. But the criticism on Chan Gailey is unfair, unfounded, unsubstantiated, and ridiculous from the Dolphins fan base. When you look at all that he's working against, all that they've done to evolve this offense, last week they were playing without Myles Gaskin. They were playing without Matt Breida, 2 guys on the COVID list. The other back, Ahmad, I forget his name.
Ahmad Salman.
Yeah. So the 3 top backs. Then they lose they're already playing without Preston Williams, lose Devontae Parker, lose Jakeem Grant, have to lean on Lynn Bowden Jr. And Mac Hollins to make the offense go, lose Mike Gesicki, and they still somehow managed to score 27 points. No running game, inconsistent offensive line, rookie quarterback, and people want miracles. Like, exactly what do you want him to do with a team that really doesn't have that many offensive weapons?
Well, I think there's the central question. Do people think that the Dolphins, like I got in an argument with the Dolphin fan, not an argument, a discussion. He thought Jakeem Grant could be Tyreek Hill. Now, look, I'm a Jakeem Grant fan, but I mean, let's be serious here, okay? They're
Yeah.
not the same player, all right? And when I hear the criticism of Changeli and he's handcuffed, look, he was a rookie quarterback at the start of all this. When he first got started, you're going to limit the playbook for him, okay? That just makes sense. But what you see, you also see a offense that league in first quarter scoring. So the game plan, the strategy, the work they're doing the week, it's bearing fruit on Sunday. Okay, I mean it's very limited offensive options, as Omar said, and you know it's such an obvious deficiency at times that you know I almost tip my cap to Changeli that they're scoring enough to win a lot of games.
I've always thought that Brian Daboll's done the most impressive job as the offensive coordinator since I've been covering this team since 2007. I think this year Changeli might get the crown. And I mean, what he's been able to achieve, accomplish, and do with nothing is quite impressive. And everybody who thinks that, oh, hurry up offense, 2-minute offense, empty back set, why don't you just put Tua back there and allow him to throw every down? That's not the solution to your problems. That's a Band-Aid. And good teams, well-coached teams like the Patriots are going to exploit it and destroy it. So don't think that it's a solution to every issue just because you see the offense move when they go no backs or they go empty or they go or they're 2-minute and hurry up. Yeah, he's good at it, but it's not a fix for the offense.
All right, Brian wants to know, with the recent injuries, who's going to start at receiver? I got a hat you can draw names out of, okay?
Yeah, I have to believe that Devontae Parker is going to be committed to his vow that he made this season to play every single game. Even if he has to play hurt, he has to be limited snaps and opportunities. Devontae is serious about this. He is dedicated and committed to shedding the fragile reputation. And I think that's important for him. Jakeem Grant's got a hamstring injury. I'm not sure we'll see him. A speedster with a bad hamstring is a recipe for disaster. Lynn Bowden Jr., I think, as we've discussed on this show extensively, is probably the most talented receiver on their team. Raw talent. And I need to see more of him. And hopefully this opportunity will give us a chance to really see what he has. And then Antonio Callaway. At this point, I mean, a lot of people have big hopes and visions for the Florida receiver. He's had time to learn this offense. Let's see what he can do.
Yeah. I mean, the bottom line here is, do any of them scare you? If Devontae Parker's fighting a hamstring and Jakeem Grant, or both of them are fighting leg issues, okay? And I don't think they have anybody on the roster. If you're plotting the defense, you sit there and say, oh, there's somebody we have to really worry about. Gesicki is the one you had to worry about, really. And, you know, we'll see if he gets on the field.
That I don't think that's a possibility. Gesicki was leading the team with 6 touchdowns, but he suffered a shoulder injury that looked pretty serious.
Bad. It looked bad.
And there's no way, in my mind, based on, I know Brian Flores is going to try to show me up at some point, but based on the fact that a tight end kind of needs his arms to be able to go like this to catch the ball, and Gesicki probably can't raise his arms above here, I have a hard time believing that he's going to play, if not finish the season. But let's hope medical miracles do happen.
Okay, Poppy's looking ahead to this offseason already. Should we sign an Allen Robinson or a Juju Smith-Schuster and draft a wide receiver and a tailback? There's a plan, Omar. What do you think?
I don't like that plan, and here's the reason why I don't like that plan. Allen Robinson reminds me a lot of Devontae Parker. You've already got one of those receivers, and Juju Smith-Schuster is going to get ridiculous money. The one thing I've learned about the Dolphins from past years is they're kind of uncomfortable paying wide receivers ridiculous money. And I really do believe that in this draft, you're going to have probably 3 receivers in Jamar Chase and Alabama's Devonta Smith and Jalen Waddle who can be impactful players for this offense in terms of guys who give you yards after catch, guys who stretch the field. And that's really what this organization is missing. They're missing a stretch the field receiver, and they're missing a run after the catch receiver. I think Bowden can do that for them in terms of the run after the catch. He's got a unmatched ability to make defenders miss. I would put it in comparisons to Peter Work. I know you remember Peter Work, Dave, in terms of guys who could just shake and bake. That's definitely needed, but they also need a guy kind of like Kenny Stills who can stretch the field and keep defenses honest. While Jakeem Grant has speed, you don't really see him catching that many 9 routes. And I think Jalen Waddle and Devonta Smith, they've got chemistry with Tua. They have a history with Tua. They are both going to be first-round picks. I would definitely think the Dolphins should talk to Tua and figure out who he would like to be the difference maker.
Well, I would hope they trust their professional judgment over who's going to have the better career. All right. But I agree with you, Omar. It comes down to roster building and blueprints. And you look at, okay, where are you going to spend the money and get it elsewhere? And you look at, so far they're following the Patriot plan. They're investing money on the secondary and in select defensive players. And you know, if you look at what Bill Belichick, I don't think he ever spent money at wide receiver. I mean, he went out and got Randy Moss, but that was on the cheap.
He went and got a receiver from the Rams. I can't remember the guy's name, little quick guy. He traded him like a year later, but yes. I mean, Julian Edelman, Danny Amendola, but they clearly have a receiver issue right now.
Yeah, I mean that I was gonna get to, and yet if you want to make a criticism, Tom Brady, when some years, and especially at the end, where he really didn't have much of anybody to throw to on the outside, and so maybe that has to be rethought. But I'm with you. I'd hesitate to. Allen Robinson is if you're going to count on Devontae Parker, and then you also have
Preston Williams.
You know, the other injuries coming back who are big receivers. You have big receivers.
Are you really banking on Allen Hurns and Albert Wilson?
No, but I'm drawing a blank. Number 18,
Preston Williams.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I mean, where do you invest money is ultimately what it's going to come down to, and they need playmakers. So I'd before going out and getting a receiver, but maybe a moderately priced one rather than a high end, and draft one high. Okay, time to play Omar's favorite X's and Omar game. You ask the questions, we'll put some thought into it and tell you whether we believe it's true or false.
Thought is optional.
Here we go. Chris wants to know, true or false, Bill Belichick's going to make this Tua's worst game of the season. I think there's enough tape on Tua by now for Belichick to release the formula on how to beat him.
Ooh, I think this is true. I'm not going to say it's going to be his worst game of the season because he's had some pretty bad games. But if we know anything about Bill Belichick, no matter what he's working with, he's going to create a masterful game plan for the opponent. It doesn't necessarily always have to work, but he's going to take away whatever your strength is. He's going to take away whatever your favorite run is. He's going to take away Tua's rollout to his left. He's going to take away your favorite target, and he's going to say, okay, beat me. And he's going to make it tough on you. And, you know, there is enough film on Tua right now for you to create an appropriate game plan of how to strategize against him. And honestly, it's one of my favorite things about when the Dolphins play New England, because they are going to highlight your weaknesses. They are going to show you Philip Wheeler cannot cover in space. When Philip Wheeler's on the field, Bill Belichick is not substituting because he doesn't want Philip Wheeler to leave the field. That's Bill Belichick. He's like, oh, the weak link's there. No huddle offense. Let's go. Let's keep him out there for 15 snaps. And it's just genius. And to flip it over to the Miami Dolphins, I've seen Brian Flores and his coaching staff do this on defense and on offense. Against Cincinnati, they found a weak link. They said, okay, we don't want him to leave. No huddle offense. He's stuck there. And it's masterful. I underestimated all of the things that Brian Flores, I will admit this, I underestimated all the things that Brian Flores has learned in 11 years working under Bill Belichick. And yeah, it's the little subtle nuances.
You look at the opening segment against the Chargers, 5 plays, 7-0. They special teams, defense, offense had a 1-yard run, but they put it in. So, I mean, they found weaknesses. I have a hard time saying Tua will have a worse game than he did in Denver. Denver showed what to do, jump his routes, take away his quick reads. But to me, that's a indictment maybe less on Tua at this point than it is on the weapons he's working with. And, it will be, I think it's gotten easier for Belichick. If Gesicki's not there, Parker's, if he's not 100% with his legs, this will be a hard game, I think, for both sides to score points in. Michael asked, true or false, a better running back makes this O-line look better.
Woo! That's you know what? I'm uncomfortable with this question. I'm going to go with false. I will say a better offensive line makes the running game look better. Right now, they don't have anything to work with. The run lanes are clogged usually. They had a 2-game exception against the Jets and the Bengals, and it's the Jets and the Bengals where they had success running the football. But right now, they need a better interior player on the offensive line. I don't know if it's a better center. I don't know if it's a better guard. The tackles are doing an okay job. And I will say this about the offensive line. They're average. If average is your standard, and average with 3 rookies on the starting unit, if average is your standard and you're okay with having the worst rushing team in the NFL, even though you run an RPO-based offense and a play-action-based offense, and none of that works without the run game, then, okay, you don't have to do anything on the offensive line. But everybody who thinks a running back's going to get here and magically just make it all better, I don't believe that.
I always ascribe to, if we're going back in history, and since I'm an old man, Larry Zonko, and at that time, they would say the offensive line, 3 Hall of Famers on that offensive line, would say, we got him the first 2 yards, and he got what came after that. Okay, and that sort of sums up the offensive line really is struggling to get the first 2 yards.
Oh, tremendously.
But at the same time, it's not like the back's creating anything either, making it easier for the offensive line. This is a case where you need improvement on both sides, and an improvement in the offensive line, to me, it should be just development, simple, straight. If you pick the right players, you develop them by year 2, year 3, that line should be better just from them growing up and understanding the NFL and getting their bodies right and all that stuff. And you're going to have to go out and get a running back, though. And that's what, to me, this offseason is partially about.
Chris Anderson has a good one. True or false, Lynn Bowden Jr. is the answer at slot, Dave?
Well, I know you think he is, Omar, or you think he's an answer. I need to see more. Now, in the slot, the one guy who showed flashes of something was Malcolm Perry to me. Was it the Denver game? I might have been and then he got hurt. So it's hard to but he showed flashes to me. Okay, there's something there. Lynn Bowden has shown he's starting to show something. Okay, but for me to say he's the answer, I haven't seen enough of anybody to say they're the answer.
I'm going to go with a false. I like Lynn Bowden as a weapon. I don't know what is holding him back as a slot receiver, especially because he has quarterback experience. But Isaiah Ford coming back and re-signing to the practice squad is huge, not just because of the injuries that they have, but Isaiah is consistently praised as the smartest wide receiver on the roster. He knew the offense better than the former offensive coordinator, which
got rid of him. They cut him. They didn't think he was a top 6 receiver on this team.
Hey, Patriots, it takes a minute for everybody to learn the Patriots offense. That's notoriously the
No. I'm saying the Dolphins got rid of him.
They didn't cut him. They traded him. They got a 6th-round pick. They got a 6th-round pick. They opened the door for the younger players to play and guys with more talent. But in this situation, I'm leaving room. There's a fine line to me between intelligence and talent. And intelligence, the Brian Hartlines of the world, always find a way to make plays and get open and be quarterback friendly. The Von Besses of the world. Whereas the talent, what's Gates? I forget his name. We've had so many talent players that just really couldn't do anything because they couldn't grasp the offense. They couldn't understand how to contribute. They couldn't understand how to read defense. Now, Bowden, he should because he's a former quarterback.
We should be getting to the part of the year where he shows more, and he has started to show more. But remember, he came in right at the start of the year. So, I mean, you got to give him a little benefit of the doubt with time right now, Omar.
I gave him 2 months. Gave him 2 months. He's contributing now, which is important. And right. 12 receptions for 122 yards, a 10.2 yards average. That's pretty decent. I could respect that. Our next question comes from John Rambo. True or false, losing Mike Gesicki hurts the offense more than losing Devontae Parker and Jakeem Grant?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely true. He has become the most athletic. And you saw now it was a career game last game when he got hurt. Okay, the most catches. What would he have? 8 or 9 for 135 yards, and he's really has come into a impactful position and standing on the team, and not only that, Tua, you could see something developing with him and Tua. Okay, and so for him to lose him, yes, it's bigger. It's bigger than any of the other playmakers they could lose in effect, because he's really, to me, their only true playmaker.
I would say Devontae Parker is probably their top playmaker. But Gesicki's having a great year. Phenomenal, 44 receptions, 602 yards, 6 touchdowns, and he was trending up before the injury. And these are the things that happen. It's disappointing, but as the coach always says, this is a physical game. December is when basically it's survivor's football. I always mocked the Buffalo Bills for years because they would fall apart in December just because they didn't have any depth on their roster. Now, look at their roster now. Yeah, it's a different story. They spent 3 years building their roster to the point where they could play well in December. And that's really what separates the good teams from the great teams. And I think that I think this organization has done a better job adding and acquiring talent than they have in the past. Adam Shaheen, when they went out and they traded for him at the beginning of the season, from the Chicago Bears, this is for that moment. They did that trade for this moment. If something happened to Mike Gesicki, we need Adam Shaheen, who, by the way, was taken in the same round as Mike Gesicki, has a year's more experience on him, more starts. Not saying he's got the same level of ability, but there shouldn't be that drastically a drop-off.
All right, true or false? This is from Elite Tua. Dolphin fans should trust Brian Flores to get the team ready to complete their playoff push in December.
Complete the playoff push. I say true. Team is ready, prepared. Sometimes they get outcoached. It just happens. Bill Belichick outcoaches you. Denver outcoached you. It happens in the NFL. Miami has outcoached quite a few teams this year. Sometimes injuries impact your game plan. And certainly this will be a challenge in the final stretch of the season, considering you kind of lost your 3 top playmakers. But who knows what happens from an injury standpoint in terms of who comes back. Maybe Preston Williams comes back. Maybe young guys develop and blossom and get better. You like this Malcolm Perry dude. You saw one little run where he made everybody miss, and now your hopes are high. Maybe.
I saw a couple plays there, but you're right. I need to see more from all those. The whole supporting cast. They all have something, but do they have enough to produce, to make an impact, to stay on the field? And we haven't seen it. So
they got Tua. That's what they need. Tua. This is why I love Tua so much. I've always said good quarterbacks elevate the talent of the people around them. They elevate the offensive line. They elevate the playmakers. They even elevate the coaching. What you saw against Kansas City, not a win, but a rally back from a blowout, was proof he can make everybody better. And the question is, how much better can he make them? Poppy has our next.
And the level. The next question is, can he do it consistently? That's gonna. We're not there yet. He's a rookie still and all that, but that's the coming question. Can he do it consistently?
Poppy has our next question. Can Miami make a playoff run without any major free agent acquisitions, Dave? Not get there, but can they make a run, Dave?
Well, they did. They have some free agent acquisitions on the roster right now. So you're saying more. Look,
yes.
They need more talent. They need more. They need playmakers. They need a running back or two. They need a wide receiver or two. Okay, so what they need is a blueprint on how to get those. You're going to see where the Houston pick. It looks like certainly a top 10 pick, could even get as high as 4 if you're dreaming. So, there's one playmaker probably, or they need
one lineman. Give me a lineman, Dave.
You want another lineman? Which side of the ball, Omar?
Offense. I want a brick wall, Dave. You know that. I want a line like the Indianapolis Colts or the Dallas Cowboys when they were healthy, or Tennessee Titans. Give me a line.
How good did that Dallas Cowboy team do with that great line?
Well, they lost their quarterback. I mean, they were.
No. Before that, how did they do?
They got to the playoffs a couple of years.
They never went anywhere, Omar, because they didn't have enough.
You just consistently disrespect Jerry Jones.
He's awful. He hadn't done anything except shake hands and make media people think he's great in 25 years. He hasn't got out of the first round of the playoffs, and he's barely made the playoffs.
He doesn't need a first-round pick to find a quarterback, Dave. That's talent. Let me defend Jerry.
I don't know why. If Jerry Jones was here and he was the owner, you'd look at the past 25 years and you'd say, why is he in the Hall of Fame again? I don't get it. Why do people praise him? I don't get it.
He keeps getting to the playoffs, Dave.
Well, you go up and see how few times he's gone to the playoffs, Omar, and then come back to me. Okay, our next question comes from James. True or false? At the end of the season, this defense will be top 10.
No question that's got to be true.
That's a gimme.
Yeah. Layup. Xavier Howard right now is the best defender in the NFL. He baits quarterbacks to throw to him, then he intercepts the ball each week. And I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to finish the season with double-digit interceptions, playing for a top 5 defense, and truthfully deserves to be considered a defensive player of the year. If not the winner, you better finish number 2 behind Aaron Donald, because nobody's been more impactful to their team than Xavier Howard. And pass rushing, to me, there's one caveat that could mess this up. Bobby McCain, very important player, very important. He is the quarterback of that defense. And if he's not back there sort of conducting traffic, I'm gonna get a little Joe Philbin on you, and I'm gonna get a little queasy.
Well, let's start here with the question. Top 10. Right now, they are number 2 scoring defense. Okay, that's the stat, the first stat you look to. So top 10, considering they're playing a bad Patriots offense, they're playing a Las Vegas team that's really up and really down. And then they close out with the Bills and Buffalo. You don't know what kind of a day. Yeah, they shouldn't be giving up a lot of points. Okay, so I think it's a given that they're a top 10 defense.
They got to get Van Noy back too. He's an important piece.
That's the thing. The Van Noy and Landon Roberts, they need those guys. They need them back in there because, as we've seen, they can be run on, and they can, Roberts especially is in there because of the defense. So
the Dolphins and the Patriots meet in the season opener 14 weeks ago, and since then, these two franchises have been headed in completely opposite directions. While New England's no longer the scary franchise that won the division every year for all but one of the last 19 seasons, they resemble a wounded animal that's ready to be put down, Dave. The Dolphins can provide that final blow by beating Patriots at home on Sunday in the home finale, and that loss would make the Patriots 500 on the season, Dave, the end of the dynasty.
Well, how's it feel not to have a franchise quarterback, Omar? Yeah, Bill Belichick. Let's ask him that. How's it feel not to have a franchise quarterback back there?
I am curious to see if last year in the season finale, the Dolphins spoiled the Patriots season, basically making them have to go on the road to play, and they lost in the first round to, I believe, Tennessee Titans, if my memory recollects correctly. Ryan Tannehill got up in there and Derrick Henry did a lot too. The question is, can Miami end the Patriots season? Reign of positive success. Can the Dolphins prevent them from being a winning franchise this year?
Not only can they should. I mean, the way this is set up, the way look, if this was a high-scoring Patriots offense, then you'd have some fear because the Dolphins, the way they're set up right now, aren't going to score a lot of points. You wouldn't predict them to score a lot of points, okay? And so, but this is set up for the Dolphins. They have a very good defense against a bad offense, and they should have just enough offense against it's not a dominant Patriots defense as we've seen through the years. So.
Here's my important question. Can the Dolphins stop the run? And not just stop the run, but stop an athletic, scrambling quarterback?
I don't know. He's not scrambling as much as he did in the first game of the year.
Yeah, he's just catching up to him. But, this could be his chance. I mean, think about it. Cam Newton's not just playing for Patriot success. He's playing for his NFL future. And he needs games like he had in the season opener to kind of give people hope that he can still be a good quarterback.
Omar, he's got I think 10 interceptions and 5 touchdown passes. So he can run all he wants, but with that stats, he's not going to have as an NFL quarterback.
Well, they didn't have to throw the ball to beat Miami in the season opener.
Yeah, but that's the question. For one game, can the Patriots do the power game enough against the Dolphins? And we've seen Bill Belichick go bully ball, right? We've seen him do that. Pick on the one thing a team can't do, as you said earlier, and just ride that all day. I think that he's just going to come out with 8 offensive linemen and run the ball.
Seven offensive line. I agree with you. I even if Kyle Van Noy plays with his hip injury. The last time he was struggling against the hip was Denver. They just ran at him and really just attacked him. And even if Kyle Van Noy is there, I don't see the Patriots not running the ball. And Miami's going to need a really tremendously impressive game from their defensive linemen and they've been playing well. Raekwon Davis, Christian Wilkins, Ryan Sealer, Emmanuel Ogbah, Shaq Lawson, those guys have been playing well on the front line in recent weeks, but they're still averaging 4.7 yards per carry.
But if you're the Dolphins setting up for this, Omar, you have 2 very good cover cornerbacks against bad receivers. You can just say, you guys take them. Okay, you can play 8-man in the box all day, and you better hope that's enough for you because I think the Patriots just going to be Powerball. So Eric S. wants to know, is the Patriots game a must-win for the Dolphins?
Must win. I would kind of say no, because you can still possibly win the final two games and get to where you need to go. But should you win, is this probably the weaker of your final three opponents? Probably. History's just not on your side, even though you split the series with the Patriots just about every year in the last decade. It just makes me uncomfortable thinking about Bill Belichick and creating these master game plans for Miami. And, you know, I'm a desperate Bill Belichick makes me uncomfortable.
I tell you what, let's not mince words. This is definitely a must-win, Omar. They go on the road for the last two games at Vegas, which Vegas is mediocre. At the Bills, a good team. You better win if you're talking win two or three. If we're talking the playoffs, a chance at the playoffs. You know, it obviously got diminished with what happened Monday night with the Ravens winning, but to win two of the next three, it's a must-win to beat a struggling and crippled Patriots team at home when you have to go on the road against. I'm not impressed by the Raiders, but then you have to play the Bills. So this is your easiest one. You better win this one.
Definitely. Seeing the Patriots, as Mr. Banker 12 has our next question, seeing the Patriots as one-dimensional, do you see us selling out to stop the run better than we did in the first game? You created kind of an interesting game plan, Dave.
Yeah, I to me, and I got into this. You just put your two cornerbacks, high price. This is what you got them for against bad receivers, and they should just take them.
Don't overlook Nick Needham.
Game.
In the first game, don't overlook Nick Needham, because in the first game, Nick Needham wasn't out there. He wasn't the nickel cornerback that he is today, and I give him just as much props and praise for what he's done and what he's contributed and the development that he's made. Nobody on this team has developed more than Nick Needham this season. And you're right. You can play those three cornerbacks, singled up, Eric Rowe on the tight end, whoever back there, free safety, and the front line should be able to stop whatever the Patriots are throwing at you.
Yeah, and walk up your safety if that's how you want to play. It'll be interesting to see, from both sides when the Patriots come out, their offensive. How are they? You pick the number of offensive linemen or interior linemen they're going to have against receivers. And you know what? Look, if I'm smart enough, or not even smart enough, if I can figure out. Boy, the Dolphins having a big advantage at cornerback over the Patriot receiver. Bill Belichick sure is. He might just say, we're only going to play one receiver. We're going to bunch up. We're going to get big power in there, and let's see if we can outmuscle them over the course of an afternoon. So it'll be interesting to see what the Patriots do. We know the Dolphins will have to sell out to stop the run on some, but they're set up to be able to do that too.
Yeah, it was a practice report. Matt Breida is back from COVID. He practiced today, so that's good. That'll be a help. Ahmed, he practiced in a red non-contact jersey, so it's a possibility that he's coming back. And then Eric Flowers was present, but did not appear to do much. So it'll be interesting. But Bobby McCain was absent at practice on Wednesday, and so was Mike Gesicki. It'll be interesting to see how this team overcomes those injuries and basically does what they need to do in order to finish this final stretch of the season. Let's get to our next question, which comes from Jason, who wants to know, is Brian Flores the coach of the year, Dave?
Today, right now, this second, yeah, I would say he is. Now, there's 3 games left, and that will have like anything else, how you finish up. It's coach of the year. It's not the coach of 13 weeks. If they go out and make the playoffs, he's coach of the year. From where they were at the start, through some of the stuff he had to navigate to put it in a rookie quarterback and making the playoffs, that's coach of the year season right there. If they go out and lose the next 3 games and Ron Rivera of Washington say they make the playoffs, or yeah, look what Buffalo's done this year. There are other candidates.
Yeah.
But right now, today, I'd say Flores, coach of the year.
Coach of the year, I think he's a contender, but right, like you said, it's about how you finish in December. Right now, I know Mike Tomlin's team is struggling. They've got a ton of injuries, but what he started the season with, if he finishes out, let's say 13-3, you got to give him a Coach of the Year nod. Andy Reid, how often has Andy Reid been Coach of the Year? And Sean McDermott is, to me, the coach who's done the best job, the executive who's done the best job too in Buffalo Bills. They've got it going on right now in Buffalo, and that's a lot of praise from me, considering I'm a Buffalo hater. But that team right now, they're built right. Their quarterback's playing well, if not great, and they've got one of the best playmakers in the game. So to me, right now, I would put Brian Flores behind Andy Reid, Mike Tomlin, and Sean McDermott. But I said this on Twitter, and I stand by it. If Brian Flores somehow finds a way to get this team to 11 wins, I will be leading the campaign for him to be Coach of the Year, Dave.
All right. Next question comes from UCR42. Can the defense function? And you alluded to this a little earlier. Can the defense function if Bobby McCain misses time with the ankle injury?
Woo! That is a lot, Dave. And to me, I'd have to give a lot of thought into putting Eric Rowe back there at free safety, because what Bobby McCain does is invaluable, because he is the quarterback of the defense. He makes sure everybody gets in line. And literally, this team doesn't allow many big plays, and Bobby McCain's part of the reason. Now, hurting that is the fact that Jamal Perry, who knows this offense from his time in New England with Brian Flores, he's on the COVID list. He's sidelined. So that leaves Clayton Fidelum and Kayvon Frazier to play safety back there. Both of them are kind of strong safety types. And then we've also got Brandon Jones, a young player. I'm not necessarily certain that they're confident enough in his ability to read offenses and dictate what's going. But I do know that they can put Brandon Jones in Eric Rowe's role, or Kayvon Frazier in Eric Rowe's role, and have Eric Rowe play that free safety spot if Bobby McCain can't go. But this will be something that's determined later in the week. But the one thing I am confident in is that Brian Flores will have a plan. He's always had a plan every week this season. So,
and if you're going to miss one game of the next three, this is the one. Because as we've said, they're not a passing offense. They really struggle passing. And so,
in fact, you know, you make a very good point. And Kayvon Frazier in Eric Rowe's role might help you a little bit against the run.
All right, prediction time, Omar. Favorite time of the week.
I am going with a 20-17 Miami victory. I believe that this team has the talent to make the playoffs. I believe that they're driven by the push that they're on, the fact that they like the success that they're having, and I believe that this organization is different and has turned the tide of Dolphins doldrums of the last 2 decades. So I'm going to go with Brian Flores extinguishing the dynasty, putting out the fire of the New England Patriots, guaranteeing that they don't produce a winning season.
Yeah, I'm going the same way. But I'm going 17-13. I'm going like 1970s football, low scoring. I think this will be one where neither offense is going to be able to do a whole lot. And, with Tua, that's the parts around them. With the Patriots, it's just what they've shown for most of the year. So, but I think it'll be a fascinating chess matchup and we've talked about how the Patriots offense is going to try to roll against a very good Dolphin defense that does have one little, opening in its armor of the run defense. So it'll be a fascinating game, but I think points will be at a premium.
Definitely. Well, thank you for watching X's and Omar. You can find us on any streaming site where you normally find your podcast. We also post the show on the Sun Sentinel website all throughout the week in segments. You can also find our Q&As, where we're carrying over some of your X's and Omar questions on the Sun Sentinel's Q&As that are found on the Dolphins page. Looking forward to Sunday. Looking forward to seeing how this team finishes the final stretch. Dave, stay healthy. Christmas season is on the way. Look forward to seeing you
You
guys.
got your tree up yet, Omar? Or are you a tree person? Our tree is up, not
Yeah.
decorated.
When did you put the tree up?
About a week ago.
Yeah, we put it up right after Thanksgiving. It's first tree in our new home, so it went up pretty early. The rest of the house was a mess, but the tree was up.
Well, very good. All right. Have a good week.
All right, guys. I'm scared. What the fuck? Oops.